In the preparedness world and general world in general, it's typically a good idea to not rely on a single tool, right? Both in the concept of having a backup and to your primary tool in case the primary tool is damaged, lost, forgotten, what have you, and also using the right tool for the right job, also known as not using your flathead screwdriver as a cold chisel. Now, on the communications front, I admit fully that my opinions are biased. I'm a big advocate of amateur radio, and that mindset does not necessarily come from I've been enjoying playing around with amateur radio for the last 5 or 6 years. It's also because if you look at it, amateur radio is not a tool. It is a fully stocked toolbox, right? You can do everything from simple person-to-person simplex contacts, communications with a walkie-talkie, to sending digital messages halfway around the world with no infrastructure or infrastructure that you're in complete control of, such as a repeater, and on through using the internet. The problem with this really great toolbox of communication tools is it has a big old lock on it, right? There is a series of different licenses that you have where you'll get different privileges, and there's a series of tests to take to get those licenses. And on top of that lock, there are people standing with their arms crossed in front of it, blocking any attempts to change what the requirements currently are. I don't think too many logical people can argue that the current license requirements are severely outdated and need to be overhauled drastically. But those people with their arms crossed are arguing against it, and from what I've seen, every one of their arguments comes down to, I had to do it, you do too. Now, there are other tools that are outside of that lock toolbox. One that is really growing on me now that I explore more into it and how it's advanced in the past few years is amateur radio's little cousin, GMRS radio. Basically, everything you do with GMRS, you can do with a technician license, but it's growing in capabilities. Years ago, it was just voice contact, limited to a very limited range. But now, radios like this one from better have GPS built into it and the ability to send text messages. So with that text message availability, you have asynchronous communication, and with the GPS, you're able to share locations as well. GMRS is becoming a real option. The biggest propellant for that option is the licensing for that and the community around it. You still have to get a license, or should have a license, but there's no outdated test required to take it. You don't need to know Ohm's law to push the talk button and talk on this radio, which makes it much more user-friendly for a lot more people. And also, there's not as many people with their arms crossed in front of the lock on GMRS radio. The GMRS radio community that I've been exposed to so far have been very open. They really don't care if you have a license or not. Even some of the repeater owners just don't care. And the nice thing about the license, kind of go back a little bit here, is it's not just a license for you. You pay the same $35 as you pay for an amateur license. You don't get a test. And that license is not only good for you, but it's good for your whole family. And that solves a big problem right there. I know quite a few people who are very like-minded to me, who have a general or an extra license. They're all into preparedness. They're all into working with their communities. They're all into having each other's back. And nobody else in their family has a amateur radio license, and they have no interest in getting it. They're all willing to push the talk button, but they're not willing to go through the hurdles involved. And those hurdles are gone away with GMRS radio. So, am I saying that all of us hams gotta ditch ham radio and go on to GMRS? Nope, not at all. We just gotta throw another tool into our toolbox. A tool that will give us better communications with our family and friends and all the others in our groups who keep saying one day they're going to get a ham radio license. A radio like this will get them where they need to be.